Well, welcome everyone. My apologies if my English is very rusty because it's been a long time ago that we talking in English. I was told to tell you something about the establishment of Beat for Help, how the plan originated, and where we are standing right now. To the beginning, I'm one of the founders of Beat for Help. The idea originated of the third founder. We're with a total of 3 founders, and the original idea was to start a platform to connect people who are needing help with people who are able to give professional care, like care from a nurse or care from what we call in the Netherlands a home care. But as soon as we talked about this concept, we actually came to the conclusion that it's really complicated to start this, because when you look at the Dutch legislation, it's really difficult to start such a platform, because you need people with a specific registration. They call it a BIG-registratie. And to able to get those people working for you, it's a really a difficult way, because first of all, people need to know you, and second of all, you need the people who need the help. So we turned it around. So basically we said, okay, we are still going to make a platform, and then we are going to provide the care for people who don't need medical care, no special care, and what we call the caregivers. This help that is being provided by a daughter, a son, or a neighbor, and that's how it actually started. And then it was back in 2018 when we started to think about, well, what do we need for this platform? And of course, we also looked at other platforms, the well-known Uber, for example. They use the platform to connect people who need a taxi and the taxi driver. So we use the same concept, but then for the people who needed the help and the caregivers. And also in my experience, my background is that I've had several jobs in the medical care, and I saw that it was really limiting in the hospitals, in the home care. People who had relatives who really needed care, they didn't have time to provide the care, and they were like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to give my mother or my dad the care that they need, especially if you're very busy yourself? And then we thought, okay, why is there not an app that could create this type of connection? And that's the plan how we worked out further. And that's we schemed everything. We made diagrams to see what do we need. We have a caregiver. We have someone who needs the help. And eventually we make the decision. Okay, are we going to start or not? Are we going to do some research on what we need, or is it a big risk to start this? Well, I can get an easy question on the last question. Answer on the last question is a big risk, because it's whenever you start a company. You never know where it will end, and eventually we took the decision to start, and it was back in 2019 again. So we contacted a company who made apps, who made the technique, and after a couple of years we came to the conclusion it's not that easy to make an app, and especially when you look back and when you're now, you see that there are a lot of improvements still needed in the app, because there is a constant loop of people who give feedback to you from, oh, what does the app need, and what do we need as a company. So finally we started the 1st of September last year, and we see it's working. It's not really working as it's starting like a fire, but we see that the beginning is starting. A lot of people are getting to know us, and people are actually using our service, and the people who use our service are very satisfied. and hopefully we can actually provide this kind of service in the future. So, but we also know there are a lot of risk factors. That first of all, we are dealing with the population because we are focusing on the elderly people who are 65 years and older. And first of all, there are technical difficulties because that kind of population, some of those people don't know how a smartphone even works, for example. Most of those people want to have a telephone call. You want to check who's the person, who are the people behind the company, why would we trust this company, and are they really going to give what they're promising? So there are a lot of challenges, but basically the startup is, what I've learned in our last 2 years is you just have to do it. If you believe in a concept, just start it. Yes, it is a big risk, but when you don't start, you will never know. That's basically the concept of the idea, and now we are working very hard and trying very hard to make it work. And also, we need all the people that we have contacts with, and we try to continue with these kind of cooperations. Sorry for rusty English, it's difficult to talk. Okay. So this gives an idea of people help. Then I'm giving the word to, I don't know, Rijk of Margaret.
Dat is goed.
Ja.
One second. Misschien iets verder naar rechts.
Ja, en er is een klikker, hè?
Ja.
So I have a few slides as well. Apologies. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Margaret. I've been involved for 12 to 15 months, I think. Last year, February, March. I first started talking to Carlo and Gerard, and since then we have, I think we have started, recruiting people and actually kicking off the concept that Carlo just explained. I've always worked in HR for bigger companies, so for me this was a leap as well. I've never actually supported a startup, so it was a great opportunity to see if, whatever experience I gained over the past years works, and you're able to apply it to a smaller company and, make it grow big. Because all of the things that I had learned over the past years is processes and structures and procedures, and it's all, quite rigid usually. And this is from the bottom up. It's a totally different story I've learned by now. And when Annabeth asked me to talk to you here during this session about HR and, building an organization, I thought, this is a bit tricky, It's only a year, only 15 months. Is it not too early to look back? But actually, I think it is a great opportunity to do so. At least for me anyway, because I put some information together and you start doing a bit of research as to, how do other companies do, how do they start up their company, what processes are in place and what not, what helps, what hinders. And I guess, it also tells you a few things about what we could have done differently, but I think we're early enough to make changes and adapt and be flexible. So it's probably a bit, there's a bit of textbook stuff involved as well. So building a new organization. Carlo and Gerard, or Carlo mostly, just talked about, a concept, and, they had been discussing the concept for quite some time. And then at some point, you need to decide, are we going to go for it or not? And I think this is typically what happens, right? We all have this sort of romantic idea of startups where people are working in the attic or in the garden shed for a year, and then all of a sudden, as magic, this brand comes to life, and in a few years' time, it's as if, it has always been there. I think most of us around here know different. It's not as romantic. It's hard work and a lot of hard work, I think, and also taking risk. And apparently, in the Netherlands, after 5 years, more than 1/3 of the startup companies have disappeared, so they didn't make it. And we're in the top 5 countries. So in most other countries, this number is actually worse. I think in the United States, it's up to almost 90% of startups that don't make it. So apparently we have fertile ground here for startup companies, so that's good news. But still, you know, it takes risk. It takes, you know, you need to make bold decisions. But what are some of the criteria? I mean, there's lots of criteria or, you know, reasons why companies don't make it. And I think, you know, they're all over the place, really. They range from legal issue, financial issues, you name it. But when I looked into some of these researches, there's a number of things that keep coming back that are criteria for success, or at least give you a very good foundation to start off your company. And I think the first one is very relevant for Beat for Help, so solve a real and felt problem and be innovative. That is a very critical one. If there is a problem in society and people have experienced it for a while and nobody has come up with a good solution, then, you know, and especially when this is an innovative solution that nobody ever thought about before, then you have a very good chance that people will jump on it. Also important, I think, that, you know, whatever is out there is within reach for a lot of people. So it's open to a wide audience. And timing, I think, is a factor. So when, you know, when the pain is felt for something, then people are more likely to embark on it, of course. And the next one, focus and tenacity. You know, you want founders to be passionate and just go for it, and don't take your eye off the ball, stay your course. You know, try to also see some of the things that are around your goal, but this helps. Collaborate. Apparently, you know, when you're in a network organization, so you tap into other people, you're not reinventing the wheel, which saves you time, and it might also open up other opportunities that you had not seen before or considered before, simply by talking to other people. Flexible and adaptive to change, so you can adapt your organization to changing situations, not only personally, of course, but also as a company. And the last one is be out there, so make sure that you have a unique proposition that is, you know, very visible, people can find you easily. Those are the things that I kept seeing when I looked for, you know, success factors. Now, what has all of this to do with HR? I think that's the big question. I think what happens a lot of the times is that, you know, founders are so engaged in their concept and in their growing their business and keeping the eye on the ball, which is a good thing, and they should. But at the same time, you know, in these early stages, it is good to think about, you know, what kind of company do I want to be? You know, when I grow bigger, are we going to be very informal? What kind of people do we want to attract? Are we a working from home company, for instance, or are we going to be an office-based company? All of these small decisions are eventually forming your company culture. And at this point, you know, when you're just starting and you're moving from your attic to your first small building, this is where I think the rubber hits the road, and you need to decide, who do I want to be? And you can still influence it. And so that brings you automatically to the next one, choose your team carefully. because they are going to be the culture that you want to foster and create. And not only, of course, in personality, but also in profile. What kind of people do I need? And they will become, pretty much an ambassador for the next person that you're going to recruit for your company. So it's critical to look at not only, flexibility, creativity, all these things will decide who you are going to be. And onboarding becomes then even more important because people typically want to know, where are we heading, right? What is your vision? What is the point on the horizon that we want to be in a couple of years? And what I didn't know, but apparently almost 40% of people quit their job in the first 6 months. So that's a very high number, and that is universal. So it's also in the Netherlands. So you really want to be very clear on, what are you going to do, and is there a, social fit, a cultural fit. All these things are also, I think, discussed during the onboarding. And then focus on your fundamentals, of course. You can attract people, but you need to make sure that you have a few things in place. It doesn't need to be gold-plated, but just a few things that will get you going. And other than that, I think it is important to just stay in tune with the people that you build your team with, and become employee-centric and an inclusive organization. And last but not least, have fun. So this was us last week.
Mooie boel. Mooie boel.
Yeah. And then, so that was textbook. Now this is Big for Help. So this is our journey, and I'm sorry, I'm in your way. Oh, you can see it here. Okay, very good. This was our journey, at least from when we started recruiting people. Prior to that, of course, a lot of hard work had happened on the technical side and the thinking. But in March 2022, we decided to start a recruitment campaign. And I remember we sat together in The Hague for an entire afternoon. Luckily, we had asked an expert on recruitment. So this is the network tick. And she was quite adamant, actually, that we wouldn't leave the room without defining some kind of core values to put out in our vacancies, so that people at least had an initial sense of, okay, this is Beep for Help, and they want to be innovative, they want to just do it, and there were a few other things that we had sort of put out. This is going to be us, and of course you can adjust, but you need to have something to attract people and give them the first idea. So I was very happy with that decision. And so we had our first employee on the 1st of June, and the new home, because that's when we started looking for this place, actually, where we are today. I think on the onboarding here, that was probably a bit tricky, room for improvement. It was in the midst of holiday, so I was away. I think from then on, we had a good sense of, okay, onboarding is important. We need to make sure that we get it right as well. And then we continued recruiting people, actually, so the team was growing. By the time it was the 1st of September, we had the app live. So people were actually able to submit a request for help. And we had people that were, going to their house and help them out. Can't remember exactly, but I think we had 5-6 people at the time. And in the last quarter, we realized that it was important to be out there as well. People could actually find you and find your brand and also we had to decide how we were going to reach people, because this is not the social media generation that we're targeting. So we had to focus maybe a bit more on offline marketing campaigns as well. And also stay in touch with your customers. You know, what is it that they want, so that you can be flexible and adapt when you need. And this is where we decided to recruit more the back office roles, so customer service, marketing. And that team was on seat in January. So we have Marike here and Rijk, who's doing the marketing. And I think that was a big boost. So all of a sudden we had professional people doing, you know, the marketing and reaching out, social media campaigns, but also it gave us a good opportunity to connect, really connect with people. So you know, you received help from us. What was your experience? And then you also start to learn more about your customers and your products. And in April we started our flexible workforce, so the number of requests for help was growing to the extent that, you know, it was time for a sort of a next level where you have a flexible pool of people that you can tap into when needed. This is actually the first time that we formalized the onboarding. We had a formal onboarding session, and I think this is what we will hopefully continue to do with every new group of people that starts on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And then into the future, hopefully a new home again in 6 weeks from now, yeah, expand the flexible workforce. So quite a journey already, and you know, looking at some of the criteria that you saw on the previous slide, I think a lot of them were there, maybe not all to the extent that, you know, you should do it by the book. But anyway, there was quite a basis of HR things, and which is, of course, you know, important when you're a labor-intensive service. But also credit to, I think, Gerard and Carlo for, you know, seeing the value and the importance. So that was, in short, I think, the journey. I'm not sure if this raises any questions with anyone. Not at this stage? Okay. It is.
All right. On to the next slide. We will talk about marketing. First, we will talk about the table of contents. I will talk about lots of marketing today. First, about the team. Why marketing? There are different types of marketing. For example, digital marketing, content marketing, offline marketing, and also a lot of trends going on. If you have any questions during the presentation as well, please ask them. First, I will introduce myself as well. My name is Rijk van Duren. I'm 24 years old. I live in Amstelveen together with my girlfriend, and I've studied creative business here in Amsterdam. And now I'm working here since January with lots of fun and a great team. This is our marketing team, but our team is also bigger. We also have the customer service, ICT, business development, HR, and of course the owners of Be4Help. And together we are trying to grow Be4Help and try to help people at home. For example, elderly people, but also people who need help. And that's why it's really important to know your target audience, where we will talk about later this presentation. I have a question for you as well. Which marketing message that you have seen, for example, today or this week, did you like? And maybe if you can, tell why. Has anyone seen an amazing ad, for example, from Netflix or Disney, that they were thinking like, maybe this was a good ad? No?
I saw one advertising campaign that was all over the city where you see a sign that says forbidden for handicapped people. This sign does not exist, but it is everywhere.
Ah,
So
yeah.
that was what really struck to me. Like
Good.
it was let's say, it struck me.
And do you
So-
also
Sorry?
do you also know from which company it was?
That's for an organization, Zonnebloem. And they help people that are disabled. And it's apparently Amsterdam is very closed off from people with disabilities because there's no, I don't know the word for it, drempels.
Yeah.
Drempels or stores, or you can't go to the toilet with your wheelchair.
Yeah.
So it's actually not accessible for people in wheelchairs.
Okay.
But it was really a good campaign, I thought.
Yeah. Maybe we can also highlight them with from Be for Health that we're also helping people.
Yeah, we will definitely, when we have a new building in a couple of weeks, I hope we will be accessible by wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And go to the toilet if you need with a wheelchair. I thought it was a good campaign, really, I think a bit shocking, but yeah.
Good. If anyone else has seen anything, just let me know. I will go on then. Why marketing is important? Yeah, some people are already told, but marketing is essential now for increasing the brand awareness and also to attract new customers. And it's really important to gain now a brand identity, and that's now why we are making, for example, beach flags or a poster, and also do ads in newspapers to get new customers, but also to have a strong brand identity. And if you have that, then people will also trust you, and then they will recognize you, and also will come back to your company because they trust you, and they think like, maybe this is something for me or something for someone I know. So it's also really important for every company to have a strong brand identity because it's gaining trust. So another question is why marketing is part of communication. Yeah, that's also something that what I just told is it's really important to know your wants and needs of your target audience. For example, are they watching TV in the evening, or are they going for a walk? Are they reading a newspaper, or do they like to scroll on Facebook? If you know those kinds of types of the target audience, what they like to do and their behavior, then you also know how to target them, how to reach them for your ad. Our target audience right now is people who are looking for reliable and fast help. It can be an elderly person or someone that is just needing help at that moment or help for in the future. We can also just schedule a meeting or a help. We can also just schedule a help for them at home. And that's why it's also really important to have personas, because if you have a persona, I don't know if you know what it is, if you've ever seen it, but persona is showing your ideal person who you want to reach with your ad or your company. It's also really good to have it. We have right now 5 personas. For example, Dirk, that is a little bit older, and he likes to watch TV or likes to listen to podcasts. And if you know his hobbies and where he's from and what he has studied, then you know a little bit more about that person that you would like to reach. If there are any questions, let me know. And why communication is part of marketing? Yes, for example, if you are starting a company, and you think you have a great idea, you have the gap in the market, then it's really good to let people know that you have a new service or a new product. So that's why marketing and communication is there, to let people know I have this product or this service on sale. Then you have the funnel, it's like this image. You have multiple layers, and first you have the see layer. People will see you, and they're like, I have never seen this before. And then the think layer, they're like, maybe this is something for me, and maybe I can use this service. And then in the do layer, they're really buying that product or the service, and then people are like, it's amazing, I'm going to maybe buy it again. And then in the care level, they're like, I bought this brand new shoes from Nike. I want everybody to know it because it's amazing, and then you have the amount of word marketing, the mond-to-mond reclame, that people know. And also this layer, not a lot of companies use this layer, the care layer. It's also that people who have already bought a product from your company will get a certain amount of discount, for example. And then people will most of the time come back to your company because they feel like they are, how do you say it, gewaardeerd, they are appreciated, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's also good to have a slogan. For example, from McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Yeah, just to go back one slide, I think for Beep, at this point, our goal is to be seen first,
Exactly.
and thought of, and then cared for, because the customers we have, they really care for us. They are actually, most of the time, ambassadors. They really use our service all the time, because they are really happy, like, it's so easy. I'm happy with the one who came at the house. So for us, it's our goal to really first be seen, because you have to gain the trust, and then a lot of people do recurring requests. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. And then it's also really good to have a slogan. People will then, with one sentence, recognize you. So, for example, McDonald's, I'm loving it, or Nike, just do it. And if you then see those sentences in one sentence, you already know what the company is about, and then people will also think, maybe this is something for me. Then the next slide, digital marketing. I think you're already familiar with it, but website optimization is also important. People will visit your website, they need to read everything and need to know if everything is clear for them. That's why it's also really important to have sometimes research from your audience to see how they will read your website. Do they have any feedback from it? And then you also have search engine optimization, that's from Google, and paid advertising on Google. Now I will show you what's the difference between it. So you have the advertising over here on top, and sometimes also on the right, and you see also the advertising, and you also have the search engine optimization, and this is organic and this is paid. And this is with keywords for search optimization, and also with good linking on other pages or metadata. It's also a really big part of marketing. This is what we also do together with our collaboration with Afdeling Online. It's another company that helps us with Google ads and also search engine optimization. And they also do the Facebook and Instagram ads. And it's also really important for those ads that will look the same as the offline ads, that you have the same brand identity. For example, if you have different kind of font or different kind of color, then most of the people will not recognize you. It's really difficult, so that's why the brand identity is important. Then you also have content marketing. That's most of the time with blogs or with videos. And then you will share your knowledge and expertise about your company online. There are multiple ways to do that: to entertain, to inspire, to convince your target audience, and to educate them. It can be with a cool video, but I think it's really important for us to also show our ratings and reviews online, because then people are like, hey, I saw that B12 has a 5-star rating from a customer, and then they will trust you as well. So there are multiple ways to do content marketing. And especially in this age, people want to know everything right now. So for example, if there's something happening somewhere in the world, people will already know it from their phone, or most of the time from their phone or online on their laptop. And then you will think, is traditional advertising dead? I think it isn't, because it's good to have the same appearance what I just told as the online marketing, then people will recognize you and it will look the same. There's one big difference between online and offline marketing. It's really easy, I think, to track the online marketing. You have the data, and with offline marketing, it's really difficult to track it. So, for example, we had a big campaign with posters in Amsterdam, and it's also really difficult to know how much customers came from the avi's, the posters, the billboards outside. Most of the time we hear it from the customers, or we saw it in the visitors on the website in those days. But most of the time with online marketing, you can really see it with data inside analytics or inside Facebook or Facebook Campaign Manager. The pros and cons, I think, it really depends on your product or your service, what the pros and cons are, and also your target audience and your budget. But I think it's most of the time I will advise to do both of them. Then people will see you on the streets, but also on their phone or on their laptop. I have a question for you. Do you know what the mere exposure effect is? No? Do you want to guess, maybe? Okay, I will tell you. I think it's really important to repeat the same message again and again. I've just had a conversation with Dirk as well, and he says from his experience that most of the time people need to see your ad 16 times, because then they will recognize you and see it in their mind that, hey, it's Beat for Help. I've seen them in the newspaper, online, and everywhere. For example, Nike, you will also see them on the streets, or Netflix, or a big brand. For example, we had these posters, what I just thought about, together with amazing photographer Sandra Stockman. And we photographed real people, because we think real people are also showing our customers, and also we think it's also good to show the real people to also gain the trust. With some fun words, do you need more time for each other, give us the things that we need to clean your house. And then we had some good reactions from people from outside, and also from our colleagues inside Beat for Help. We also do social media marketing. We post regularly on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And we also have nice comments on that, and also a variety on different kind of posts. We sometimes post reviews. Also in the stories we post, for example, that we are on our way for a new helping. Hoe say het? Nieuw naar een helper, naar een beeper toe. We show real pictures. We say that you can meet the team. It's really important to have different kind of pillars or pilar that people will then recognize as well. Also, we have a lot of videos on TikTok. Some of them have multiple views, and also on Facebook we are posting regularly. I think in the future it's also good to maybe do a collaboration with an influencer. It can be funny, but also good because people are trusting an influencer. It's the same like word of mouth marketing, because if an influencer says like, hey, I have just been helped by Beat for Help, then a lot of people will see it and they also trust that person. For example, we can do a collaboration with Oma Mi, and she's 80 years old, and I think it can be funny, but also people trust her, I think. So maybe in the future you will see Beat for Help on her page. Then the trends, I will be short because the time is almost over. What I see is most of the time short videos right now on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and also artificial intelligence is really growing. For example, ChatGPT. You can also do keywords research with that for Google search optimization, and also with Adobe Photoshop. There's a new function inside, and also VR event-based videos are right now also being shown on, for example, There was a video inside here, maybe I can show it later, for people that would like to see it. But for example, was from the Stranger Things, maybe you know it. It's a big series on Netflix, and they had videos shown on, for example, the Empire State Building in New York, in Mumbai, a big building, and in Madrid. It was all shown on a big screen on the buildings, and then people were taking pictures of it. And after that, they saw that a lot of people were watching that series, and it's also with HR and VR and a lot of technical things. That's it. If you have any questions, please do.
I just wanted to add to it that I think we will be continuing to have meetings sometimes during the year, so we can also talk to our customers and partners, and for now we have a very good evening to do that, to talk to each other. Konica will soon, in 15 minutes, start their talk about the app and the technical things. We have little goodie bags there when you should leave. You can get a goodie bag. There's a key coordinates and a pen and a flyer, and feel free to take one home with you. And, yeah, thank you.